Hello, this is Jess, and we're gonna do chat session number 65. Today's date is January 4th, 2018. 4 days into the new year. Hope everybody's starting the year off with nice things happening. If you're not, hope things will get better for you. And we're going to go right into the tidbits of history. 1999. All right. 1999 is for the first time since Charlemagne's reign in the 9th century, Europe is united with a common currency when the euro debuts as a financial unit in corporate and investment markets. 11 European nations representing 290 million people launched the currency in the hopes of increasing European integration and economic growth. If I'm not mistaken, Great Britain and Sweden and Denmark were, I guess, the three main countries that did not integrate the euro. And over time, I believe it's still around. Greece was one of the countries that wanted to participate in it, but they didn't meet the requirements at the time. But I think around 2001 or 2002, they also joined in with the euro. And I think that by 2007, I think 11 more countries, so it, added it to the list of the 11 already using the euro, were integrated into the system as well. On this first opening day, it closed at a €1 equaling $1.17, which at the time, I guess people thought it was going to be the new currency and something beneficial against the versus the dollar in markets. So there you go. That's 1999. And now we're going to go back to 1847. Samuel Colt rescues the future of his faltering gun company by winning a contract to provide the U.S. government with 1,000 of his 44 caliber revolvers. Up to 1847, most people didn't find it practical. They were sort of expensive when they first were introduced before the government contract. But most people used the Bowie knife. It was something that most people that lived in the Wild West at that time used. It could be thrown. It could, all kinds of different ways to use it. But after the introduction to the government of the Colt revolver, Samuel Colt was able to get in with Eli Whitney. I believe he was the inventor of the cotton gin, and they developed a lot of interchangeable parts for the revolver, and then made the price drop down because they were able to mass produce the parts as well as the main weapon itself. And so by the time the push, in the 1850s, the push to the I guess the West, a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of revolvers were sold at that time because people thought it was the easiest way for defense and for self-protection as they traveled west in the new nation. But all right, that's the tidbits of history on this day, January 4th. We had 1847 and we had 1999. All right, it is Thursday, and we're just going to go right into some topics. I would like to begin by putting in my 2 cents on the move by our Attorney General Jeff Sessions to begin a program to delegalize marijuana in all the states across the country that have legalized it, and to voice my opinion that I think that he is a complete buffoon when it comes to his knowledge of marijuana. I think that with alcohol being legal, with cigarettes being legal, the disadvantages and health effects of marijuana are almost trivial in respect to the dangers. You don't have people losing their mind as alcohol would do, and the stuff that can happen when you drink too much just doesn't. You can't convince me that that happens when people smoke weed, when they smoke marijuana. I do think that in a lot of situations, a joint or the smoking of marijuana through a pipe relaxes folks to a point of they're not useless, they're not stupid or anything like that, but it might relieve some anxiety, some different things. Big pharmaceuticals, they hate it because they make all these medicines that they make money on when you buy them for nervousness and anxiety and stuff like that. And so they're probably part of the reason for the push to delegalize it. I also think that Jeff Sessions is misinformed, and I also think that he needs to re-examine his statements saying that the reason we have an opioid crisis in this country is because people smoke marijuana. I think that the reason we have an opioid crisis in this country because big pharmacy is out of control, and I think that doctors are being taught nowadays to prescribe medications for kickbacks on volume of that they prescribe, and so we have all these physicians openly pushing these narcotics and basically ignoring the long-term effects like addiction, withdrawal, and so to compare that as to why we have an opioid crisis is totally ridiculous. I think that legalization is good and bad. I think that if it does become legalized in areas where it already has, you can see the adding of chemicals to it, which I think ultimately defeats the whole purpose of a natural product. What that comes with when the government gets involved in anything, they want to make sure that there's the good effects are equal with bad effects. I think that it shouldn't have anything added to it. I think by itself, marijuana is basically safe, but when you start adding chemicals to it to preserve it or whatever they want to say, and that's because the government, like I said, they overkill and ruin something that is a natural growing plant. Doesn't take anything except just picking it and fixing it and smoking it. And like I said, I think that the other side of this reason why Jeff Sessions may be behind this push to make it continue to make it illegal and to push for the states that have made it legal to reverse that is because I think he's invested in the private prisons. Anytime you have prisons and you can get some people on minor offenses like having marijuana, I think that you encourage judges to get the maximum sentence for these minor crimes like this, possession of marijuana, and then it benefits the whole private prison process, the whole private prison industry, because when the prisons are full, the people who own it, the corporations, whatever it may be, also flourish. But I think that private prisons are horrible. I think it's a horrible idea. Anytime you have an uncontrolled way to make money through incarceration of people, it can only lead to major abuse of the system. And so a way to keep the prisons full is to keep marijuana illegal, giving people the maximum sentences in the courts, and then putting them in private prisons, and therefore enriching the corporate structures or the individuals that own these prisons. I think that is a load of crap. I think they should be abolished. I think that if we're going to have a society that has to incarcerate folks, I think it should be within our government, and I think it should have strict oversight so that people that are in prison, regardless of how anyone feels about it, you should be able to get the basics, food, clean water, nutritious food, and adequate sleeping area. I'm not saying that prison should be easy. I'm not saying it should be a hotel visit for those who commit crimes. But I think that incarcerating somebody to make money, like I said, I think the abuse is there. And I think that it sets it up. So this whole thing of the delegalization of marijuana in the States is like prohibition. I mean, you got Canada getting ready to make it totally legal throughout the whole country. There's like 10 states now in the United States that have legal marijuana, and probably 38 of maybe even 40 or so states now for medical reasons you can get a prescription. I think to go backwards is stupid. And I think that what we should do is focus on those barbiturates, those narcotics that are killing folks because they're addicted. It's making them crazy, going out and robbing places, just like crack or any of the other stuff that's out there, except that these are coming directly from doctors, from pharmacies, from pharmaceutical companies that also have to have money made to pay their stockholders their share. And I think that too should be abolished. I think that medicine shouldn't be for money. I think that we should, as a unified group of individuals, seek medicine that is beneficial for mankind, for all the diseases that come about. And I think that the idea of this making money to support the health, I think that's a whole, I'll stop there. That's just a huge problem. Be truthful, be happy, and let's look out for each other, okay? Playoffs this weekend, they are out. I'll have my picks in the morning. Have a great Thursday evening. Bye.